I never truly knew what loneliness was until my husband and I separated. Even with my children living with me full time, having friends and family there for me during a really hard time, I felt utterly alone. And I don't necessarily mean being physically alone, although I was a lot, especially in the middle of the night. I'd wake up always at like 2 or 3 a.m., wide awake. Kids are asleep, the house is quiet, it's dark, and that's when I felt the loneliness really set in, because I was in bed alone. All this stuff was happening, all this stuff was going on through my head, and that's when I would have the darkest despair that I would no longer have a companion. I would never find another companion. I wouldn't find connection with anyone else. My world was flipped upside down, so everything fell off. My connections with many people was off, not just my partner. And one thing that I did learn from that is to never trust your thoughts at 3 a.m. A bigger part of what this loneliness was all about wasn't just not having a partner. It was the load that I was carrying out of nowhere as a single mom and going through a divorce and everything that brings, and just the heaviness of it all, and feeling alone in that, feeling like no one can relate unless they're doing that. And there are many mothers who are doing that. And you just feel like no one understands. And even your most empathetic, compassionate friends and family can't possibly understand what your life looks like every day and how it moves very quickly, but also very slowly. And that, I think, is the bigger part of the loneliness than necessarily not having a partner. I actually had to reintroduce myself to inclusion, to relationships of any kind, friendships, meeting new people, because in the beginning, I kind of went into a hole because I was so overwhelmed with everything that was happening, and I needed to just get the priorities done for the day. And there was no time to venture out beyond that. So I feel like I actually unlearned how to just be social and how to be with people and how to not let the loneliness take over and me withdraw. And while I was reintroducing myself and learning how to socialize again, I still wasn't very good at it. I found myself in codependency issues. I was needy at times. And while I was learning how to re-socialize and get back into the world and open up space for others, I still wasn't very good at it. I found myself in a few relationships, not necessarily romantically, just in general, where there was codependency happening on my end. I was too needy, I would communicate too much, and I think that came out of a space of desperation on my part from struggling from loneliness. So if I got a little bit of love, it was like, please give me more, because my cup is so empty and I want you to fill it up like right away. And that's not healthy for me, that's not healthy for whoever else is involved. And that's not how a relationship should be formed in any capacity. So I learned that was not good, and I'm glad I learned it. All of this is a gift at the end of the day, learning this. So I had to kind of step back and re-look at me and making sure that I was whole before I go into the world, so that I'm not just taking, to being too grabby with love. So now 2 years later, I feel like I'm at the starting line of the road away from loneliness. So now I can walk forward being fully present, not hiding, and just always having my ears and eyes open to learn and listen and see. And there's always something that I can edit and make better. So basically, in a nutshell, here are the things that I did to get here today to fight loneliness as a single mom. The first thing is that I had to feel the pain, and it hurts and it sucks. But hiding from that pain or using coping strategies that are unhealthy or stuffing it away, all of those things, the pain will come out eventually, and it will come out in such a dangerous, unhealthy, toxic way that it'll just pull you backwards, and it will hurt those around you who really do love you and want to see you succeed. So you have to sit in that pain, and it seems like it takes forever, but you've also got to get comfortable with yourself, being alone, physically alone, and feeling alone when you're with others. You got to really start looking at you, and that is scary, but so helpful. The second thing I did was I spoke and wrote about my pain in many ways. Publicly, because I work publicly, with my therapist, with my doctor, with those I trusted in my life. You can't stuff that in. Again, it's part of the grieving process, it's part of the healing process to speak and write, even if you are just writing for yourself to see. Practicing gratitude was another thing that I did that really helped me get through the darkest moments, because I had to focus on what was going right so that I didn't go down the rabbit hole of what felt like would never get better. Another thing was being brave to re-enter the world. You are re-entering the world as a whole new person with a whole new dynamic as a single woman with children, and that takes a lot of bravery, and it's scary, and you don't know what you're going to get, and it's not always pretty what you're going to get. You're going to get judgment. You may get attention in different ways than you did before. All of it can be scary, but that's part of the connection and opening that flow so that people can be drawn to how amazing you are. So you have to take all of it, and there's something to be learned from the good and the bad and the in-between. And the last, as I said before, was practice relationship building. So practice meeting new friends. Maybe you're going to do some dating if you're in that place. But just meeting new people helps so much when you're back home in the grind of making dinner and taking care of your children and running errands and doing all that. Having that support system, having your world feel bigger than just your home, the bubble of home and everything you have to do, it really does take the pressure off. And as humans, we all need connection. So practice that. This gig that we have, single moms, is damn hard. It's heavy, but it does not have to be lonely.